Hello students, shall we move to the lessons? Actually, we are moving into the second episode of this first lesson. Let us see what are the derived quantities and their units. Very important 1 mark questions. So take care of all the expressions and the units. Actually, I have explained all the expressions for this. See, let us take first area, which is a physical quantity. What are the expressions for this area? We have to find the length and breadth to define a area. And let me give m for that means we measure the length using a m and we measure the breadth using a m. So the unit is m square. Likewise, for a volume, area into height. As per the before expressions, we know area into height. To calculate a volume, we need a area and then the height. Actually, area has been differentiated into length into breadth. Now we have to multiply the height also. How can you measure the height? It's also through the meter length. So m into m, that is m cube. This is the way how this units for area and unit for volume has been mentioned so far. Then let us see how the velocity. As you know, the velocity is defined by displacement divided by time. For the displacement, we have to find the length. So it has been, length is measured through the meter m, and for the time we have to put the symbol, the physical quantity, that is s. So m divided by s, which is mentioned as ms minus 1. Now let us see about the acceleration. Actually, acceleration is by velocity divided by time. As we know, the before term, velocity is by displacement by time. Here for velocity we have to put m, and again we have 2 time. That means displacement by time divided by time. That's why we put s square. So acceleration as the unit ms square. Then angular velocity. What do you mean by this angular velocity? Actually, angular displacement divided by time. Why we are taking the angular displacement? When we travel in a straight line, we can measure the length and breadth. But if you are traveling in a circular path, we cannot measure the length and breadth. We have to find the angle. That's why to define angular displacement, we have to find the radian per time, that is second. So rad s minus 1. Then angular acceleration. Already we have find the acceleration in the straight line. Now we have moved to the angular acceleration. That means we are moving in a circular path. Angular velocity divided by time. As we know, angular velocity is defined through the radian and then the second square. So rad s minus 2. Then density. Actually, the density has mass and volume, but mass per volume. So we have put kg for mass and m cube for volume from here. Okay. So kg m minus cube. There are some portions left for you. I'm not dealing with the full page. I know you all received your books. Take this page, you can see all these things, but I have explained you only the basic things. Okay, then linear momentum. From the lower classes, you know about this linear momentum. Mass into velocity. The mass, for mass we put kg, and for velocity m by s. Therefore kg m minus 1. Then moment of inertia mi. Mass into distance square, and for mass kg and for the distance m into m, that is kg m square. Then force. How can you define the force? It's mass per, that is by, into acceleration, that is kg for the mass, and m bar s square, that is kg ms minus 2, or we can calculate the force by Newton, that you all know in your lower classes. Then pressure. Pressure is the cause of the force, which is divided by the area. Okay, if you want to measure the pressure, then we have to measure the area also. So force divided by area. As you know, force is mass into acceleration. So we have to put the value for that force, mass into acceleration. Then it has to be divided by the length into breadth, that means the area from the first one. So we put for force we put n, instead of kg m s minus 2 we use n, and for area we use m into m, that means divide by n divided by m into m, that is n m square or PA. What do you mean by this PA? This PA is a Pascal, which is measured, which is also a measurement which we use in higher classes. We will see in our next lessons. Then energy, that is about the work. What do you mean by this energy? How can you differentiate, how can you express the energy? Only by force into distance. As you know, force is equal to mass into acceleration. Then distance, that is multiplied with the force. Therefore for mass we put kg, and for acceleration we put ms minus 2. Then for this distance m we put m. Altogether if you multiply all these things, then you will get the value nm, or here we introduce a new unit, that is joule. Then last one, power. Power is defined by the work per time. As you know, work is force into distance. Then it has to be divided by the time to find the power. As you know, force is equal to nm, and distance is equal to m, then time is equal to s. Therefore js minus 1, or here I introduce a new unit which is watt. I will explain about this watt, joule and newton later in our lessons, that means second lesson or third lesson. Students, let's see why we have to measure the radian value. See, if you travel in a straight line, then you have to measure only the length. If you travel along an area, then you have to measure the length and breadth. But if you travel in a circular path, then you have to measure the angle value. To measure the angle value, we have to measure the radian. To measure the radian, let's see what are the steps here. Pi radian is equal to 180 degree. To measure one radian, that is 180 degree divided by pi. As you know, pi is equal to 22 by 7. in lower classes also, you know the value of pi. If you put this 180 degree into 7 divided by 22, you have to find the value of 180 degree through the logarithmic table book. If you substitute all the values, then you will get 57.27 degree. Also, 1 degree, that means degree of arc, is equal to 60 meniscus. This is meniscus, minute of arc, and 1 meniscus, that means minute of arc, is equal to 60 double meniscus seconds of arc. Let me explain how we measure the 180 degree. See, for example, if this is the 0 degree, then this is going to be the 90 degree, and this is going to be the 180 degree. If it is 60 degree or 60 meniscus, it is 1/3 of the full parabolic path. Let's find the value of 1 degree. To find the value of 1 degree, as you know, you have to divide the 180 degree by pi. Pi by 180 degree radian is equal to 1.745 into 10 to the power minus 2 radian, and 1 meniscus is equal to 1 degree divided by 60. That already I told you, it has been divided into 3 parts. So 1.745 into 10 to the power minus 2 divided by 60 is equal to 2.908 into 10 to the power minus 4 radian, or 2.91 into 10 to the power minus 4 radian. Then 1 double meniscus, 1 degree divided by 3600, 60 into 60, 1.745 into 10 to the power minus 2 divided by 3600, it is 4.847 into 10 to the power minus 6 rad, or 4.85 into 10 to the power minus 6 radian. Measurement of basic quantities. You all know measurement is a very important part in all the subjects. Particularly, if you want to measure a distance or length, we have to know the basic unit for that length. Let us find how we define the length. Length is defined as the distance between any two points in space. That means the starting point and the end point. The SI unit of length is meter. Let me tell why the radian is used here. The radian, RAD, it's 1 radian is the angle subtended at the center of a circle by an arc equal in length to the radius of the circle. What do you mean by steradian? 1 steradian is the solid angle subtended at the center of a sphere by that surface of the sphere which is equal in area to the square of radius of the sphere. I already explained you about this radian, why we use the radian. Let us move. Distances ranging from 10 to the power minus 5 meter to 10 to the power 2 meter can be measured by direct methods. You can use any tape or something. A meter scale measures distance from 10 to the power minus 3 meter to 1 meter. A vernier caliper up to 10 to the power minus 4 meter. A screw gauge up to 10 to the power minus 5 meter, and so on. The atomic and astronomical distances can be measured by the direct methods. See, this table refers some prefixes for powers of 10 which you may not know in your lower classes. Let's view this sum of the prefixes. 10 to the power 1 is deca, 10 to the power 2 is hecto, and 10 to the power 3 kilo, 10 to the power 6 mega, 10 to the power 9 giga, 10 to the power 12 tera, 10 to the power 15 peta, and 10 to the power 18 exa, 10 to the power 21 zeta, 10 to the power 24 iota. Like this, students, see all that measurements. I will ask questions today. Okay, I know you all have your textbooks in your hand, so go through this textbooks. I will ask questions today. Then, measurement of small distances. If you have a scale or if you have a tape, you can measure long distances. But for the small distances, we use screw gauge and vernier caliper. Screw gauge is an instrument used for measuring accurately the dimensions of objects up to a maximum of about 50 millimeter. You know this millimeter, how small it is. The principle of the instrument is the magnification of linear motion using the circular motion of a screw. The least count of the screw gauge is 0.01 millimeter. Let me show the screw gauge here and the working also. This is the working of screw gauge. It has a anvil face here. It has a anvil face here and a spindle face here, and this is going to be the spindle. Then lock nut. You can lock. You can fix this iron ball or anything here. You can lock this nut. If you lock this nut, it will be tightened, and it will not be removed. You cannot remove this ball from here. Then a sleeve, then a thimble, then a ratchet. You have to rotate this. It has also a frame. Students, we are going to have a practical in this screw gauge. So we are going to use this screw gauge to measure some small tiny objects. You will learn from the practical very well, I think. Now let's see about the vernier caliper. A vernier caliper is a versatile instrument for measuring the dimension of an object, namely diameter of a hole or a depth of a hole. The least count of the vernier caliper is 0.1 millimeter. This is the vernier caliper. You can see the working of the vernier caliper here. This is the internal jaws and this are the external jaws. This is a metric inch button and this is a locking screw. You can lock as we use in the screw gauge. Then power on off. If it is a electronic screw gauge, you can on off the switch. Then zero setting, you can set 0 here. Then LCD display. Okay, there is a display. Then a scale is fitted in this vernier caliper. Depth measuring blade. You can find it through the measurement from here also.